There's been times where I've actually made more money from a tweet of like a 15 to 20 second video of like one of my bigger YouTube videos. I've made more money from Twitter than I did on AdSense from that larger video.
Really?
Are you gonna hug a stranger again? Do you hug strangers?
I don't generally hug strangers as it is, so.
Really? You don't hug? Why do I hug strangers all the time? Don't be scared of this male-dominated world. Like, there's room for everyone. Oh, husband! Oh, that's right. I'm old now.
What's been your most awkward fan interaction?
I can't. Oh my God.
What's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf Speaks, and in this week's episode, we have a new guest. It is Jenna Ezarik, good friend, amazing content creator. We talk about being a female in tech, a bit about her journey, the challenges of being a content creator, a little bit about her podcast, SameBrain, and there's also a fun section towards the end, as we always have. A few questions which you generally won't hear on any other podcast, so stay tuned. Jenna, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on the podcast, by the way. It's incredible.
Thank you. It's still very new, but getting used to it, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing something different.
I think that's the most important thing too, because like my sister and I randomly started a podcast during the pandemic, and I mean, she did it so long ago, so it was very new to me. And we're like 30 some episodes in. I'm like, I think we're getting the hang of this now.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely going to be talking about the podcast. We're going to be talking about tech and just getting to know you for the audience as well. The first thing I always ask my guests when they come on is, what are your daily drivers? What are you using right now? So phone, laptop, desktop, and camera.
Okay, yeah, all right. So my main phone device is the iPhone 12 Pro Max, as well as the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. So two very large phones.
Snap. I've got exactly the same two here.
My other one's charging. So yeah, very large phones, but I've been enjoying them. Although today my iPhone decided it doesn't want to charge. So
okay.
We'll see what happens.
That's weird. Is that just cable charging or wireless as well?
Cable. It wasn't charging with the cable. And then I think the wireless charging dock I was using wasn't working. So then I was like, okay, what's happening? But the MagSafe is charging my phone. So I'm like, okay, as long as something works.
So it's Apple's way. They're getting you used to the iPhone 13, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But because that's going to be portless, they're just like, hey, forget using cables. Just use MagSafe.
Very true. Very true. Okay, so then my camera, I've been using the Sony A7S III. I have two of them because I have a new like overhead setup, and I just have like a main one. I would prefer to have three, but that's a little excessive. I love the camera so much.
I'm also this is a snap again because I'm also using the Sony A7S III. Love that camera. It's currently what's recording this as well, and you've got two. So before we get onto the laptop / desktop, you said you've also got it for your overhead camera.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
How have you set that up? Because I've been doing overhead shots for like 4 or 5 years, but I'm always interested to hear how others have their setup.
I mean, I just bought like a C-stand. Okay. And then I will say there was like some attachment I needed, and I was like, oh, I don't want to wait. So then I found some like random little thing I had in like a drawer, and I like screwed it on there and kind of like made it work. But I have like a very heavy C-stand, and then just I've got like the sandbag weighing it down, and it just stays above my desk. Right now I'm at my sister's though, so I had a sleepover last night, so I'm at her station right now. And I'm also going to be redoing my entire office because I'm crazy, and I was like, I'm going to redo it again. But yeah, just like a C-stand and just basic. Right. I can send you a link if you want.
Yeah, because so right now my setup is inspired by Lou from Unbox Therapy. This is something that he did a long time ago. So I've actually got a backdrop stand, right?
Oh.
So it's just like a square around the table, and then I've got a clamp, and the camera is on it.
Nice.
I'll send you a picture later on, but it's actually not bad. But the thing that with C stands that I've always been a little bit sort of worried about is because it's just got support from one side. I'm like, is it going to be easy to kind of knock it over or something? Whereas with this, it's got support from both sides.
I mean, I've stood up, I've hit my head on it. I've done a lot of weird things, and I have like the 16 to 35 millimeter G Master lens on it too. So it's pretty heavy.
Okay.
And so far, so good. So I trust it.
You're gonna have to send me a link.
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm looking forward to seeing the office setup tour whenever that is up as well. I love seeing those. It's always interesting to see what setup everybody else has.
I would love to have a warehouse. Unfortunately, I live in Los Angeles, and not space is limited, but I did buy like an L-shaped desk so that I can have like a permanent gaming setup, and then also just like a permanent like sit down unboxing, because I was so tired of like moving monitors and moving things around. And I'm like, I think I can make this work with a big L-shaped desk. So we'll see.
That's awesome. It's so much easier when you've got like a setup, like even here, it's a small room. It's not, it's not big, but it's just nice to be able to just switch on. And I've got like some backdrops here, which I can just roll down. So I can have either a lighter one or this gray one, but it usually just stays as the dark one. But yeah, it's so easy when you just have a switch on, and then you can just get straight down to the content instead of having to rearrange everything.
Yeah, and like especially with like lighting and just cameras and doing it, like it takes a lot of time. And then I have to put on like makeup and like brush my hair, and I'm like, by the time I go to sit down, I'm exhausted from like getting ready and setting up. So just minimalizing the process and having it be easy. I'm like, this will hopefully up my content production.
I can relate somewhat, with the brushes, but it's just my beard that I have to brush.
True. Well, it looks great.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, and then your computer, laptop or desktop.
So I've been using the 13-inch MacBook Pro M1.
Nice.
Almost everything for the past couple of months. I guess it's been out.
Okay, nice. And how's that?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say it's been the base level too. It's like the 8 gigs, like 256. So obviously I'm thriving off of external hard drives. But it's been really, really good. Although I needed some stuff that wasn't really working with the M1. So I switched back to the 16-inch MacBook Pro, the Intel. And I opened it up and I was like, oh my gosh, this is massive. Like I couldn't believe that I was doing all of my editing, like video, photo editing, everything on this tiny screen. And then I opened up the 16-inch and I was like, okay, we need 16-inch MacBook Pro, M1 or whatever the next, chip is going to be.
M1X or M2, whatever it's called. You're going to be going straight to that, I assume, as soon as it's out.
100%, like immediately. Yeah, because it's just I'm enjoying M1 so much.
M1's so good because the thing with me is I've got my 16-inch MacBook Pro, the Intel one. I really do like it, but I also have my desktop, which is a PC. So I kind of switch between both. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next 16-inch MacBook Pro. So I mean, based on rumors, it should be soon. So we hopefully won't have to wait too long.
I hope not. I mean, I was kind of basing it off of when the 16-inch came out before, and it was like November, I think.
Actually, that's a good point.
Oh, because I was like, November. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, but I think there is a lot of pressure on, because last year they kind of released the 13-inch MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air earlier in the year, and then it was like not even 6 months later they released the M1s. So
that's true.
I'm hoping that it's going to be sooner. I'm hoping it's going to be sooner, but we'll see. I really hope. Okay, now I'm interested to hear, because whenever I have a guest on the show, what do you refer to yourself as? So if somebody was to ask you, Jenna, what is it that you do?
That is the worst question to ever ask someone in our field. It's terrible. But I feel like now, I mean, I've been doing YouTube videos for the past decade, maybe, I think maybe 11 years. I don't even know. But it's definitely been a decade. So I always say that I'm either in video production, or if they kind of understand, I'm like, I'm a content creator.
Okay.
Because I hate the word influencer, which I heard Marquez also wasn't. It's just a terrible word.
Okay, so Marquez told me why he hated the word influencer. Why do you hate the word influencer?
I don't know. I just it's just something about it, and it makes me just feel like, oh no, I don't see myself as that way. Like I see myself as like a content creator. Like I'm not really here to try to influence people. I feel like I just make content. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the influencer term kind of seems like you can manipulate people in a way. It's just like, I can influence people to, follow my every every word sort of a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm like,
But
don't do that.
yeah, but one of the things I was saying to Marquez was, I see that point, but then brands, the term influencer makes sense to brands. So whenever we're working with a brand, we do use the term influencer, but publicly, when I'm talking to, the world, it's not influencer, it's content creator.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it definitely makes sense. I'm like, oh, influencers. And like, I used to do some consulting, for agencies. So like, I get it. You use the term. I feel like no one really likes it, but until we come up with like a better word, then I guess we're stuck with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, content creator is not too bad. Now, you do make a lot of different types of content, right? So you cover tech, you do vlogs, you do gaming. What would you say is your sort of primary though? Like your main focus?
Wow. Well,
You don't have one.
I really don't know. So in 2020, early on, I was like, I'm going to focus on travel because travel is what's, the most passionate thing to me. It's what I love making. But then obviously the pandemic happened. So I was like, okay, all right. What are we going to do now? So then obviously I started focusing more on tech. I've always been interested in tech. It's always been something I'm very passionate about. I just was like, well, I don't know. Do I really want to talk about it? And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I will. Maybe I will talk about it because I'm sitting at home in my little, my home, in my office. Like, what am I going to make videos about? And, while the new work from home, everyone was adjusting. And I was like, okay, like this is kind of cool. And I think kind of the good thing about being a YouTuber and kind of what I've been doing is like, I'll do vlogs, I'll do this, I'll do cooking. Like I've never really had a thing. I just personally would do what I wanted. And I wasn't really following the rules of what YouTube wanted me to do. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do tech now. So, I started doing tech and it's actually been incredible because yes, it was a very tough year. And, but it also brought me closer to so many brands that like I've been such a huge fan of. So like giving me that opportunity to like work closely with these brands, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought that this would happen.
That's so awesome. Now it's interesting because you are obviously into tech, you and Justine, we can talk about tech for hours, right? And you two like have always been into tech, but it's like, I know you've got Brie, your other sister. She's like not into tech, right? So
No.
I mean, how did that passion and interest in tech come about?
I mean, I feel like, so our mom was a teacher and I think early on, like we had like a computer at home, like very early on. I don't really remember like as much because I was like really young. And then I remember actually our dad kind of got us into drones because he was like, did you guys hear about like this drone? And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, there's like this cool drone. And then we're like, wait, that does sound cool. And then we started like, researching and we started like buying drones. And so I don't really know. I just think it's just been kind of like in our family. And, my sister, she went to school for, graphic design and all of that. And we grew up playing video games. And I just think that I'm not really sure. It just kind of was something that we just always were like, this is really cool. Like, what's the latest and greatest? Like, what's going on? And I don't really know. And then like cameras, like I was always into photography. So while my sister was into, doing videos, I was like, well, I'm kind of into photography. So like, well, how can I, what camera is going to be the best for this? And then, I mean, the past, 5 years, 10 years, it's just been the tech, like we cannot keep up with it. So I just think too, like always having the next best thing, like what is it? Like what is going to be next? It's just fascinating.
It is. And one of the things that I love about tech and being a tech content creator is half of our work is done for us, right? Because that's the companies coming up with the new tech. And then the other half is us actually covering the tech in a entertaining and informative way. So I kind of love that about what we do based on, because I know when others are doing vlogs or entertainment or comedy, the pressure is on them pretty much 100% to come up with new ideas and new things to do it. Whereas with tech, it makes our life a lot easier.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. And I feel like too, there's like always that, like the fight. It's like, oh, well, Mac versus Windows, Android, Android versus iOS. I'm like, I use everything. Like, I just feel like I have very specific uses for different things where I'm like, I use everything. I don't really care about, it's not a competition. Like the more tech, the better, personally.
Exactly. But the fights amongst the fanboys does definitely help engagement. So I'm gonna let that carry on as it is.
That is very true.
Yeah. Now, one of the things is, well, if I look at my audience demographics, right, 90% is male. And that seems to be a trend within tech in general. I mean, my only exception is TikTok, but TikTok's like very different.
Yeah.
But generally, YouTube, etc., it's like 90% male, because I cover tech, and tech seems to be something that's, very much dominated by males, right? And what I like, about yourself is obviously you're a female that's genuinely into tech, and I want to emphasize this, that we have so many conversations just talking about tech, like especially when it comes to cameras. We could talk all day about cameras, right? What do you think? I mean, in terms of your audience, do you know what the breakdown is in terms of male to female?
I haven't looked in a while, but I definitely think it was maybe 60 or 70% male. So I think the last time I looked, it was like 60. It used to be more evenly split, but the more tech I did, the more the male audience went up.
Yeah, I mean, what do you? I mean, this is a tough question. I don't expect you to have the exact answer, but what do you think we can do to encourage more females to?
I mean, I know my sister and I, we've been talking about this too. Like we were like, man, we want to start like showcasing, female creators, female, producers, filmmakers, things like that. And I think too, like personally, ever since I started streaming on Twitch during the pandemic, like I've kind of built this like smaller community, and a lot of them are like younger children and like younger girls, and just kind of like talking to them more, they're like, I just feel so much more comfortable knowing that, like I can do this too. Like it's not this male dominated thing. Like I don't have to be, worried, or I don't have to be like embarrassed that like I like this stuff, and like I can just be myself. So I think just kind of like being like a role model type figure and being like, hey, if you like it, that's cool. Like, don't be afraid. Like just kind of putting yourself out there and like talking about it and being like, it's okay to like what you like. Don't be scared of this male dominated world. Like there's room for everyone.
There is. And I mean, definitely being a role model, I think always helps. Seeing somebody that's successful in doing what they do and knows what they're talking about as well, encourages others to do the same. So yeah, I think you guys are definitely doing a really good job being role models for upcoming female content creators, which I hope we'll see more of in the tech space for sure.
I hope so too.
Right, now you mentioned that you've been on the agency side of things as well, so I'm interested to hear what you were doing before the whole content creation thing, firstly.
Well, it's funny. So I went to college. I have a degree in forensic biology and biology. So nothing at all. And what I'm doing now. And before that, like in high school, I was like heavy into sports. So thankfully I never had to get like a high school job. Like shout out to my parents, because I appreciate that. I was so busy that I wouldn't have had time. And like I still got good grades. So then after that I went to college, and I think it was in college when I started doing YouTube. My sister, she was just like, you're always giving me video ideas. We're always together. Like, just make a channel. Like 2010, you made a channel for everything. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. And then I remember getting my first brand deal, like maybe a couple years later. And all my friends in college had like real jobs. And I was like, they like would make fun of me for doing YouTube videos. Like, oh, Jenna has to go home and make her little YouTube video. And I'm like, oh. But then I'm like, wait, this is like paying my bills. This is paying for my rent. This is paying for my, my college books. So like that was actually like my first job that was making decent money like back in the day. But then after that, I graduated, and I was like, okay, I can either go get a job in what my degree was, or I just take the chance and I move to LA. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I'm just going to move to LA and see what happens.
Yeah.
Obviously, Los Angeles was very expensive. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I did do some like consulting with just some agencies who were in like the influencer marketing space. And then I was working with Microsoft for quite some time too, just doing like consulting. It was basically just like I was still making my content, but also consulting with them on like how to work with influencers, and what they should do, like in types of campaigns, good ideas, bad ideas, what to do, what not to do, who to work with. So that was just something I did for a little bit. And then eventually I was like, okay, I think I'm good. Like, I'm just gonna, just do my own thing and see what happens. And, that's been the past couple of years, and it's been incredible.
It's really interesting to hear that you were you were studying biology, because the co-host on the channel, he was a microbiologist before getting into YouTube. So I'm kind of seeing a trend here. So if somebody wants to become a YouTuber, content creator, then go into biology. You'll be so bored that you will then gain a passion to create content. I'm joking. No offense to any biologists out there, but I'm definitely seeing a trend here.
No, for sure. But I did love it because like I love like the forensics, like, you know, the crime stuff. Like it's, you know, I mean, shoot, you turn on Netflix now and it's like all you see. Yeah. You know,
that's super interesting to hear that sort of, because like for myself, I was doing, you know, media, so I was doing interactive web design, so I was kind of somewhat related. And I remember speaking to Justine, and she was also doing a lot of graphic design and, you know, Flash, which, you know, there's a very few people who were doing that. I was like, oh, awesome. But it's so interesting to hear how, you know, yours was very different. So coming over, I guess that tells me that you could be doing anything, and if you are really passionate about creating content, then hey, go ahead and do it.
I think the thing too about college is like, how do you expect someone straight out of high school be like, what do you want to do the rest of your life? And you're like, what? Why do I have to pick this? Like, there's just like that outside pressure. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like this. But then like thinking back, I'm like, man, I really, like, I don't know. Like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I learned. I'm glad I had that experience. But like, how much time and money was wasted like on that, you know? I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll go back and use that degree. I'd have to probably relearn everything. But yeah, it's very silly. I'm like, I don't even know. I still feel like I don't know what I want to do the rest of my life.
We could maybe see a different channel, maybe like a sort of forensics channel that's a completely separate thing.
How to commit crime? I mean, what? No.
Right. Now, so you started your channel like, it's been like what, over 10 years now. Mm-hmm. Your channel name across and your social media name across all of the different platforms is just your name, Jenna Ezarik. Yeah, very simple.
It used to be It's Me, Jenna E, and I hated it so much. I'm like, why would I do this? I hated it. I don't.
So that's what it was. Okay, because I'm interested, because I just saw the name. I was just like, I was thinking, did you not like have an alias? You know, obviously, you know, SuperSaf here, and then, you know, everybody's got like an online alias. But I was like interested because you just had your name. But hey, I guess that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, it was like, oh, It's Me, Jenna E. I'm like, what can I make my YouTube channel? I'm like, I hate that. I hate it. So like, I don't even know when I eventually like changed that. I mean, thankfully on like my Instagram, Twitter, all that, I was like, I'm just gonna do my name because it was available, and I know at the time I'm like, oh, somebody could steal this. Yeah, so I did have one. I just didn't like it.
It's Me, Jenna E. It's got a bit of a ring to it. I don't know.
I was 20 years old. Leave me alone. Which, to be fair, now is like old for people starting channels. Oh gosh.
You would, yeah. Let's not go there.
Like Marquez said, he was in high school when he. Oh man.
Yeah, let's not go to the age section, because otherwise this is just going to be like a depressing podcast, and we'll just be complaining.
Yeah,
about getting older.
That. And my hips hurting, my knees.
Yeah, all sorts of problems. Getting older sucks. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. That's what I always say.
Yeah, I'm like torn. I'm like, being an adult is so cool, but then I'm also like, no, I didn't sign up for this.
Responsibilities, all sorts. Let's not go there.
We're not. Not today.
Make this podcast take a downward trend. Anyway, so shooting your content. Do you still do everything yourself? Do you get some help? How does it work?
For the most part, yeah. Unless there's like a sponsored video or something where I'm like, okay, I need help. You know, we've been working with Tyler for quite some time now. Justine usually hogs him, so if he has like a free day or two, I'm like, Tyler, help me. For the most part, yeah, I've just been doing everything myself. And we recently took a 3-week road trip, which Tyler and our friend Jace came in. We're like, okay, we're just gonna go. We're gonna relax. We're gonna have our little quarantine, safe bubble, and we're gonna just go in the middle of nowhere, kind of like reset and make content. So that was kind of nice having some people around too. I'm like, oh, you can like hold the camera for me. I'm like, cool, this is nice. But yeah, for the most part, and I still do all the editing myself, which is time consuming.
It is. Are you thinking of potentially kind of, expanding, getting somebody on board or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely need to, because it's just too much. Like the vlogs and stuff, I don't mind, but like the heavy tech videos, it just takes up too much time, especially like phone reviews and stuff like that. It's just, there's not enough time to do everything.
See, one of the things I find is, because I'm generally doing most things myself as well. I've got my brother who does work with me, but he kind of looks after more of the management side of things. Whereas when it comes to actually shooting, editing, etc., one of the things I find in tech is, because things are so tight, like you can't wait to send an unboxing to somebody to edit and bring it back. Mm-hmm. No, it needs to go live yesterday. You know what I mean? And that's something that I find as well.
Yeah, so if I was able to plan better and be like, hey, like I'm gonna need this video by like next week, that's cool. But yeah, like you said, it's like I need this tomorrow. So like if I need it done, like I just have to do it. So yeah, that's what makes things very difficult, unfortunately.
It's always a struggle. On YouTube, you have now 945,000 subscribers. It's amazing. Getting close to that million. Do you think you'll be hitting the million this year, potentially?
Okay, so here's the thing. I've been like stuck at that number, and I have a theory of why. Okay, my first theory is I've been very inconsistent with YouTube. So like I've literally been stuck. Like I'll see, the growth, but then I'll also see, YouTube will do its sweeps and get rid of old channels. And since I do have like an old channel, I'm like, am I kind of being punished? Like I've had the thought, I'm like, maybe I should just start a fresh channel, because I also post, like you said, like I'll do vlogs, I'll do tech, I'll do, some gaming, I'll do this. Like I don't think YouTube knows what my channel is. So I truly think that I'm hurting myself. And I guess I've just kind of accepted at this point. I'm like, honestly, like I'm still having fun. I'm making money. I'm working with incredible brands. If I never hit that million, that's fine. Because I'm just going to do what I want on my channel. Even if YouTube is like, this is all wrong. I'm like, that's okay. It is what it is.
That's good. I like that thinking, because it always seems like, to be honest, getting to a million, it was amazing. But what I actually found is I became a lot lazier after hitting a million, because it's just like, yeah, I've got a million now. So like the next target, what is it? Like 10 million? That's 10 million? Way too far.
Yeah. It's like, oh gosh, yeah, that's too much. So, I mean, to me, I'm like, it's fine. Whatever. If it happens, cool.
So, I mean, the YouTube algorithm. What are your thoughts on the YouTube algorithm?
How do we crack the code to understand it? Because I don't understand it anymore. I don't know.
It's interesting. So this is the thing. I mean, like I've got a bit of a theory with the YouTube algorithm, because the way I see it is on YouTube, you can either make content you like to make, okay, or you can make content that's going to work, okay. So what I like about your channel is that sometimes I'll see like obviously tech, but then I'll see some travel, which I also enjoy seeing, and it's a lot of writing. It's what you enjoy doing, which is brilliant. But YouTube likes you to kind of push out the same content, which will work well among the same audience. So if there's somebody who's just doing smartphones, okay, you post one video that has smartphones, your viewers see it, they like it. Other viewers who like smartphones get to see it, they like it, and it just has a snowball effect. And then as soon as you do something a little bit different, it's like a barrier for that snowball, which kind of hits, and then the snowball becomes a lot smaller, and it just carries on like that. And the problem I find with that is you can carry on doing that, but then you're not really enjoying the content that you're making. So then you're pretty much just chasing the numbers rather than doing content that you actually want to make.
No, 100%. And I feel like that's why I'm like very grateful to be kind of like in the situation I am with like brands, because I mean, my AdSense, I probably would not be able to survive on AdSense because I've confused the algorithm. I've confused my channel. But because I started doing vlogs, like that was what my channel was. So when I switched to tech, people are like, oh, well, like, okay, we like it. And it was bringing in, like new audience and new viewers. But then I'm like, they're like, but bring back the vlogs. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's what I enjoy too, because it's way easier to edit. And like, I actually get to do things, which, I mean, during the pandemic, I'm like, I can't vlog. Like, I don't do enough activities. I'm sitting in my sweatpants. Like, that's not exciting. So I have definitely confused my channel. I've confused everyone, but like, I'm enjoying it. So I'm like, that's all that matters. Cause like, if I'm not enjoying it, like, I don't want to force it.
Yeah, I mean, you're enjoying it and you're still making great content. So it's something that's fighting against the YouTube algorithm. But at the end of the day, if it's working for you and it's still, even though it might be a small percentage that views the different things, so there might be like a small percentage that likes the vlogs, another percentage that likes the tech. It's still, so I wouldn't say you need to necessarily have a new channel, because you still have that audience there and you still make great content. So keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Now, you mentioned brand deals because it's interesting, because the AdSense seems like the dream for a lot of people, right? I'm usually quite realistic about AdSense, because for me personally, like if I was to just have AdSense and not brand deals, then AdSense probably makes up like 20% of my income, if that. I would not be able to kind of like, I'd be okay generally, but like, I'd be able to pay rent and stuff, but would I be able to like buy lots of tech to bring on the channel? Probably not. Would I be able to employ somebody else or hire external work? Definitely not. So when it comes to brand deals, how important do you think they are?
I mean, for me personally, like that definitely makes up the most of my revenue. So I think it's very important. And I think too, it's nice kind of like not having to fight that system of AdSense and like relying just on that. Like, obviously it's great. When I started out, like that was my income for years. Like it was that. But I just feel like it's so unreliable now. Like I'm very thankful that I'm at a point where I actually don't even look at that. Like I'll check my bank. I'm like, okay, cool. But that is like not something that I'm like, oh shoot. Like, did I post enough this month? Like if I want to go a month only posting like 3 or 4 videos, then I'm like, okay, that's not really going to affect it too much. But so brand deals, they have been a blessing for sure.
They have. And that's something I think, AdSense can be very inconsistent. So being able to work with brands is a super fortunate place to be in. What would you say is, one of the best brands or brand deal in particular that really stands out to you?
Oh my gosh. It's funny because it's like there's so many different ways that I've worked with brands. Like there's been brands I've worked with who it's just been like this close relationship. Maybe, the money isn't like the highest, but it's just been this relationship that we have, we have formed over the past years. So I would say we've worked with Sony. Like I said, like it's more of like a relationship thing. I think I maybe have done like 1 or 2 sponsored things, but we hosted an entire camera camp, which they basically sponsored, they put on for us, but it was me and my sister's thing. And like that to us, like there was no money, like we weren't getting paid for that, but like it was Sony putting their trust in us and putting on this incredible camp where I'm like, that's something that I'm going to remember like the rest of my life. So just like forming those type of bonds, like even I've said yes to brand deals where I'm like, oh, this is very, very low. I might actually lose money, but I want to be able to like form this relationship with this brand because it's really important to me. So I feel like those are very important relationships to have. And then obviously the ones who pay pretty well are nice too, But, there's just so many different layers when it comes to working with brands.
If E was here, he'd be like, yes, money. The ones that pay the most money, they're the best ones to work with. JK.
Yeah. What's also too, like, you need to know your worth. So it's like if someone's coming to you and like repeatedly like taking advantage of you and they're not paying you what you're worth, like you have to be like, no, I'm sorry, like this isn't worth my time. So you have to know, you just know your worth.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Sony camp that you guys had. I mean, I was so jealous because I couldn't make it, obviously overseas, and it was in peak iPhone time. I know a lot of people actually got their iPhones delivered to the camp. Oh yeah. But well, obviously pandemic over the past year. But do you think you'll be doing another one of those?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, we definitely were talking about it immediately after, but then obviously everything has happened with the pandemic. So I hope once things hopefully go back to normal, we'll have a camera camp season 2, part 2, whatever we're gonna call it.
Okay, I mean, I will definitely try to make it down this time.
Not during tech season. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was so nice. It's gonna be so weird seeing people again.
I know. Can you imagine like actual people, like face to face?
I don't even know when the last time, I was actually trying to think, I was like, when's the last time I saw you in person? Was it CES 2 years ago? Like 2 CESs ago?
Yeah, so I mean, so CES 2020, right? So it's just like
2020.
Year and a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been some time. Topgolf.
Yeah.
We need to hopefully next CES Topgolf. We need to get back to that.
And I think they're bringing one to LA too.
Really?
I think.
Okay, so because I mean, I would have been in LA in December because that's my yearly thing. So over the past couple of years, I've been coming to LA for before going to Hawaii for Qualcomm.
Qualcomm, yeah.
That's kind of like the set routine. It's just like, okay, stop over in LA, see you guys hang out, throw axes or whatever we're gonna do.
Oh yeah.
And then carry on and go to Hawaii. So
true.
That's usually the setup, but obviously, unfortunately, it hasn't been. Maybe this December coming.
Maybe, yeah. Because I went to the last Qualcomm I was invited.
So,
I don't know if I would have been invited this year. It's hard to tell. I mean, I hope so. I'm
sure
just gonna invite. I'm gonna invite myself to the next one. I'm just putting that out there, Qualcomm. Thank you in advance.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's said. I'll be stopping over in LA, so you can just like tag along and just be like, "Hey,
hey guys, I'm just I'm on vacation. It's fine. I'm here." Yeah, I don't know what things are going to be like when they go back to, like, I don't think there's going to be a normal. I really don't think that they're ever going to be full capacity events. Like, I have no idea. I don't think I'm ever going to, are you going to hug a stranger again? Do you hug strangers?
I don't generally hug strangers as it is, so.
Really? You don't hug, why do I hug strangers all the time? You don't hug strangers?
So I don't know. You know what it is? Okay, I'm going to be really frank here. I think it's very different how people approach you if you're a male or if you're a female, right?
Huh. It could be.
And so there's me, like a bearded brown dude. It's like, you're probably not going to straight away go over and. so I think there's definitely a social perception, shall we say, when it comes to that.
I understand. Yeah, that's like the one CES. Someone's like, "Oh my gosh, Jenna Ezarik," and just came up and like kissed us on the cheek, and I was like, you're from the United States. We don't do this here. I'm like, I think I just got kissed by a stranger. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm okay if no one ever just randomly kisses me in a room full of hundreds of thousands.
So
of
I
people.
heard you and Justine talk about this on your podcast, and I was just like, "Whoa, that's weird," because. Thankfully, I've not been randomly kissed by a stranger. But again, I think it does come down to that, the perception that's in society that, you could do that, which I think, one of the things I always carry, especially in CES, I have hand sanitizer in my pocket. Mm-hmm. And my biggest challenge is to not sanitize my hands while the person whose hand that I've shaken is still within viewing distance.
True. I usually am like, oh, here, you can have some too. Like, because before I would get on planes, like I would be the person wiping them down anyway. Yeah. So it's like, that's just, that's second nature to me. But now I'm even crazier. Like my hands are literally like peeling off because they're so dry just from washing them so much. They're just like, I love all the comments. You probably don't get this, but they're like, get your nails done. And like videos. I'm like, it's a pandemic still. And my skin is very dry. Leave me alone.
So I do get some comments about my hands. If I've because what I do is, especially if I'm doing like an unboxing or something where you can see my hands, I will moisturize my hands before coming on because people do comment, but I never really get any comments about my nails and stuff like that. And again, this is something that I think, is different when it comes to tech, right? The comments I get will be very different to the comments you get, especially even if we're doing pretty much the same content, even if it's good, there is definitely a big difference there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and they're always like, oh, you only care about what the phone looks like. I'm like, no, I just said I like this color. And I'm pretty sure if you're going to buy something, you're going to care what it actually looks like too. But it's tough. But I think it's getting better. I hope.
I hope so, because I think that might be one of the reasons why it potentially puts some other females off getting into tech, because they're like, okay, there's going to be predominantly a male audience, even if that is 60 to 70%, that's still a large chunk. And what kind of comments will I get? Because those will be very different to what a male YouTuber will get.
I mean, I think too, just the thing about even just putting yourself out there and online, like you're going to be getting feedback no matter what, and like learning how to deal with it. When I first started this, 10 years ago, I was like terrified. Like my feelings have been hurt so many times, but like right now I'm at the point where I'm like, you're going to need to get creative, because anything that you're going to comment, like I have heard before, you're not going to offend me. Like you need to be creative. If you want to offend me, like get creative, because I have heard it all before.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing. It's a shame, but we do have to kind of develop a thick skin when you're putting yourself up online. That's just, it's unfortunate, but it's just the reality of the world.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I welcome, constructive criticism. Like, that's great. But if you're just like, you suck, this video sucks, I'm like, okay, but why? Just because you hate me? Like, okay, I guess that's fine, but you don't have to watch me. There's
exactly.
So many other videos out there.
I mean, the funny ones I've had, like, why are you faking your accent? So they can, I mean, you get so much stuff. It's just like, because I sound like this, because I've been born and brought up in the UK, just because, you know, it's just like, you expect me to sound different. Okay, fair enough. That's you. But it's just like, why are you faking? It's like, no, this is how I sound. This is how I've always sounded.
Yeah, that would be exhausting doing that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very good if I kind of kept it up for that long and just came up with a completely different accent one time. And it's just like, hey, I've been faking this for 9 years.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible. I'll wait for that video.
Okay, maybe I should just do one on April's Fools or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah, don't tell him.
My real accent.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, you got to do
SuperSaf
it.
Exposed. Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Ooh.
So, you obviously make content not only on YouTube but many other platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You also stream on Twitch. The new term that I'm now adopting is that I am a multi-platform content creator. He loves that.
Yeah.
When pitching to brands, he's just like, yes, Saf is a multi-platform content creator, and that's something that I think, you know, is quite good to diversify. So, you obviously use a lot of these platforms extensively. If you were to order your top 5, shall we say, in terms of what you enjoy and which you like most, basically, what would they be?
For creating content or posting content, or just in general?
A bit of both, really.
Bit of both?
Mean, like say there was, you could only choose,
okay,
one of them. Like what order would they come in?
I mean, I think, okay, obviously YouTube, number 1, Instagram. Oh, I really like Twitter. Twitter is easy. I feel like you're just like, you know, it's just where I get most of my news too. TikTok, I've been enjoying watching TikTok content. Like, it has consumed hours of my day. But when I'm like, oh, I need to actually make it, I'm like, oh no, everyone else is too funny. So, okay, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I don't even want to, I feel bad, but I don't want to say Facebook. I don't, there's something where I always just forget about Facebook. Like, I feel like I use it for like my personal, like my friends and family, but then like I have a Facebook page, but I need to be better about Facebook, because Facebook monetization is actually very, very good. I'm just very bad at it.
That's interesting, because I still need to hack the Facebook monetization side of things, because my last check from Facebook was a whole $12. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Maybe like
I don't know. Like, I was thinking of spending on a bottle of water in LA. That's how much they cost, right?
Pretty much. I know. Well, so the thing about Facebook is it's like you need to fit Facebook's algorithm. So I think that's why I never got into it. Because I was like, oh, this is content where I'm like, it's honestly like you need to dedicate just to that. And I think you have to hit like the 3-minute video mark. And it's just like a whole thing where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this right now, but it's good to know that that's definitely an option. And then Twitter also, I've had Twitter monetization for a little bit now too on videos, which has been really nice. And Instagram, I've had a surprisingly a lot of brand deals that were just Instagram. That's always easier to make for, because it's like, okay, if you're just doing like cool photos and videos. But let me tell you what, there's something about making Instagram stories when they're sponsored is actually a lot more work.
It is. Yeah. There's so much, like, that's something that a lot of people don't realize, but there's so much to it that you have to like, plus because it's such a short space of time as well, you have to think about it a lot more as well.
Yeah, and then you have to do like the tags, and then you send it to the brand, and they're like, okay, great. And then when you post it, you have to post the original, but you have to like copy exactly what you sent to them for approval. And then there's like the branded partner tool, which like never works. And then you're like, hey, you have to approve me, and then you have to wait. And it's just, I feel like there's been times I've spent, the same amount of time I would to make a YouTube video to make 3 Instagram stories. And I'm like, why am I so bad at this?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle, but it's nice to have different options and having lots of different platforms to post to as well, building up that following on all these platforms as well. You mentioned monetization on Twitter. That's something that's pretty exclusive, right? Because I mean, I don't have it.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's. I think it's.
How did that come about? Can you tell us? Can you not?
I honestly, I have no idea. I think my manager might just, know some people. I was just very lucky to get in pretty early on. I think it was still when it was like being like tested, but there are some pretty, like strict guidelines. Like you can't, like take content from other places and share it there. It has to be your own content. So it's definitely pretty strict. So I've been trying to not like make them mad. I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow all the guidelines just as I should. But it's funny because people are like, I had to watch an ad before this. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, thank you, but sorry.
I mean, you're getting to see free content. So, if there's an ad, then there's an ad. That's the thing.
There's been times where I've actually made more money from a tweet with like a 15 to 20 second video of like one of my bigger YouTube videos. I've made more money from Twitter than I did on AdSense from that larger video.
Really?
I'm like, that hurts my heart because I spent days doing this. Yeah.
This is the thing. It's just like the online social media world is so like there's just so much variety there, and it's a minefield. You just don't know what's going to work, what's not going to work, which platform it's going to work on better. Because sometimes I posted the exact same thing on Instagram, and then I've posted that same thing on Facebook, and it's blown up on Facebook and got millions of views. So it's just weird. You just don't know what's going to work and where it's going to work. I
just remembered that IGTV now has monetization.
Yes, it does.
I forgot about that.
Does.
I can't keep up. There's too much.
There's too much, and obviously there's only one of you, so you can only do so much.
Probably a good thing because I can't imagine if there was multiples of me. There's so much, but I think that's also the important thing about like people who maybe do want to get into creation who are only focused on maybe one platform. Like you need to expand because at any day, any of these platforms could go away. I mean, I doubt YouTube is going to go away, but I mean, look what happened to Vine. Like anything can happen. So to have that diversity is very, very important, and to not only to be dependent on one revenue stream because it could go away.
100%, and not only about like YouTube going away, but like you don't know what the algorithm's going to do next. You don't know what monetization is going to be like, because I remember when a lot of the family channels got demonetized overnight, and they just kind of completely lost their income overnight because YouTube was everything for them, right? So 100%.
Yeah, true. And especially when YouTube started to kind of crack down on like channels that would like maybe swear and stuff like that. That's where I was like, oh my gosh, I am so thankful that I have been family friendly my entire life. I am here. It has paid off. So yeah, you really don't know. And I think that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad I've kept my content. Maybe it's been a little boring because it has been family friendly, but just having that consistency also has led to, these working with these brands who maybe, might not have happened if I did things differently in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that I've always kind of stuck by as well is not to swear or, not putting any sort of graphic content on my channel. But that's been something that I've been doing from the start, because I know, like, my nieces and nephews sometimes will watch some of my videos, and I'm like, I don't want to be setting a bad example. But I think that kind of really did pay off, especially because it was just like, okay, maybe your content wasn't as edgy, or you said it was boring. I wouldn't say it's boring, but maybe it's not as funny as it could be, but at the same time everybody can view it, and brands love that as well. And this is something I always advise. I mean, I'm sure there is definitely a market out there for that as well, for swearing, etc. But generally, if you want to have longer term relationships with brands, then it's best to keep your channel, your profile relatively family friendly.
For sure too. And when I started, my audience was a lot younger, and they were like, mostly younger females. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't want like my child to be watching this. Like, and I would like to be like a respectable, I guess adult now. So yeah, I was in the same boat. I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm like mean or terrible or a bad role model, because that's not who I am. But I mean, sometimes off camera, I say adult words. It happens.
You do.
Can you believe it?
You've just been exposed.
I know. I have exposed myself. I did it.
You're gonna lose subscribers now.
No. Like I was trying to think what I dropped. I dropped a gallon of water on my foot, and it hit like the plastic side down, and I was like,
Ouch.
The words that came out of my mouth was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad no one was around. But I was like, I think I just broke my toe. So things happen.
Is your toe okay? Just
it's fine. It had a big bruise, but like,
ouch.
It hit like the bone, so I think it like bruised the bone. But
ouch. Okay, no, this video might get demonetized because we're talking about violence.
About true.
Your bone.
It was
breaking.
I was assaulted by a water bottle. Although if it's feet, there's an audience for that too. Let me tell you, I get emails.
Oh, well, I actually want to talk about that.
Oh no!
But before we do, your IG feed. I really like your IG feed, right? And I'm super inspired by it, especially the jumping photos, the jumping Jenna photos. Okay,
those are fun.
How many takes do those actually? How many takes do you have to do to get that exact jump?
So the thing about that is I get tired. So it's like, we got to get that shot right away. Surprisingly, it doesn't take too long. So it used to be very easy. You know, when the iPhone used to have like the simple burst mode, but now you have to do like weird things. I still don't know how to do that. But I feel like my sister and I we usually get it down to where we can time it. So we're like, okay, great, that's perfect. But now with the new Sony A1, it has like the high shutter. So it's like, it'll do, it's so fast. I don't even know if I've actually did a jumping photo with it yet. I think maybe I did, but it's so fast. It feels like it's cheating because it's like you do one shot and you have like 30 pictures and they're probably all perfect because it's so fast.
That's absolutely awesome. I definitely need to check that out. It's the only thing for me with the Sony A1 is that it's not got a flip out display, and that just
I know. Cancel. I just feel like it's not really made for us, but like I would use it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I always have this because when I was speaking to Sony about it, I'm like, why don't you have that screen? And it's like our users don't. They usually like to have the screen in line with the camera, so in the line of sight sort of a thing. They don't want to kind of be looking off to the side, which I kind of understand. But I don't know. Like for me, I just think more people would prefer a swivel display, or maybe I don't know how hard it would be for them to have an option. It's just like, hey, you get a Sony A7 I with either a tilt display or a flip out display. I don't know. It's probably a lot more difficult than it sounds.
Yeah, I have no idea because Sony did send us one, but my sister's been hogging it for the past couple of weeks, so I really haven't had a chance to use it. But I know when she was like trying to vlog, she's like, am I in focus? Am I in frame? And I'm over there with my A7S III. I'm like, oh, I can see myself. So having the screen is definitely very important too, especially because it's like, I've been trying to vlog with other cameras where it didn't have the flip out screen and it's zoomed in on my face, or like the ISO is just completely blown out. So this is, I need the flip out screen for sure.
Makes such a big difference. Now you mentioned, how you, Justine, are pretty much in sync when it comes to taking pictures and things like that. And the other thing that you guys are pretty much like, it's crazy to see this, but on the podcast, the SameBrain Podcast, and I understand why you call it the SameBrain, because you're literally like kind of like, you say one thing, she says one thing, and it's just like, it's so in sync. I love it. And the podcast, I mean, that's one of the things, I mean, the SameBrain fits perfectly.
It really does. And it's funny because when we were trying to think of a name, we're like, I don't even know how it came up. And we're like, okay, SameBrain. And then some people went back to like years ago and we said something in like a video. They're like, oh, we have the same brain. Like, oh, SameBrain, so funny. But it's kind of crazy because we also kind of sound alike. So there'll be times where people are like, wait, I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking. And we will just say, like, sometimes sentences that is the exact same. Or out of nowhere, we will start singing a song, the exact same song with the exact same line. And we're just like, how'd that happen? It's very weird. Very weird. I mean, we're definitely completely different on some things, but like things like that where it's like, same brain, huh?
No, it's. I think it's the perfect name for the podcast. And I've been listening to episodes of the podcast, and you're on 30 episodes right now?
I think so, yeah. 31 will be next, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot.
That's awesome. How has that been going for you so far?
It's been going very well. I feel like doing the video podcast definitely adds a lot of extra work. Because it's like, man, we have to get ready. Like it's a YouTube video, So it's definitely a lot doing the video, but I also think that that's kind of the future of podcasting. So like we're trying to, think, business mind, like what's going to work down the road. And it's also just something that we're very, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like for us, we're very visual. So I feel like things we talk about are very visual too. So it's nice to have that option. But yeah, the podcast has been going well. There's definitely been days where I'm like, I don't really want to shoot a podcast right now, but like, I'm like, let's do it. It's fine. So the consistency has been tough, but I think we've been doing a pretty good job. I mean, we shot one in the back of the Chevy Tahoe in Tahoe.
Yeah,
so that was fun.
I saw that. That was very unique because I was like, okay, this is different. I don't think I've ever seen a podcast being shot.
And that's what that's what she kind of wanted to, and we kind of had in mind. So like we've been using the Rodecaster, and it's been so incredible. And she's like, I just want to like go places and like do these podcasts. We did one with Tom Green in the back of her car, and like he was in his van. And we've definitely done them in like weird places. And like for us, we're like, well, that's how we're gonna keep it like unique and different, and like that's just what we want to do. So it's been fun.
Yeah, and I totally feel you on the video side of things as well, because for those listening, this podcast is also available in video form, and I've like kind of been telling Jenna, it's like, yeah, so if you can just frame yourself this way, and if you can also send me the video file in 4K as well as the audio file later on all of this. So yeah, there's a lot of hassle, but thank you so much for actually setting everything up.
We've got the 4K content coming your way, so yeah, be a big file.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big file. One of the things that I've noticed about the podcast, however, so you've got the podcast, you've got the YouTube channel, you don't have a clips channel, or you don't upload clips. I've not seen any unless I've completely missed them.
We're really barely surviving over here.
Okay.
we're trying our best. No, it's okay. It's like sometimes I'll be like, I forgot to upload just the Instagram picture for the SameBrain. And I just think too, like, it's just so, like, there's not enough time. Like, we definitely need to hire someone. But I mean, we've only been losing money on this podcast, I'll say. And which is fine, because like, we're like, look, we're doing it for fun. We know eventually this is going to probably pay off, and it's what we want to do. But yeah, we definitely need to hire a full-time podcast person to keep up with everything. Like, we want to have, clips cut out. We want to do this. But at the end of the day, we just run out of time. And we're like, as long as we get this up, like that's an accomplishment for us right now. So yeah, we just don't have enough time. We're really bad at doing stuff.
So who's actually putting the podcast in terms of editing it and putting it online and everything? Are you doing that?
I think all of us have been kind of tag teaming it. Like sometimes, so the past couple of weeks, I've been driving nonstop from destination to destination on our road trip. And she was actually in the passenger. I go, look, I'd rather drive. I don't really like editing. So she was editing. She actually edited an entire podcast and uploaded it from the car Wi-Fi within like one trip of like a couple hours. I was like, that's impressive. Well, it might have been 6 hours, but yeah. And the upload speed was like 30 or 40. And I'm like, what? I was like, we didn't just live in this car. I'm like, this is fast.
That's faster than my house.
Yeah, it was like very fast, and we were in a car. So it just depends. Like if there's times when she's busy, I'll do it, or times where Tyler is doing it. So between that, it's really a team effort. We're like, who has a free couple of hours that can edit this podcast?
Totally feel you. But I would definitely love to see clips, because one of the things I found, obviously my channel is very, very new, the podcasting channel, but the clips have been doing actually a lot better, because I guess on the podcast side of things, when it comes to Apple Podcasts, all of the podcast platforms, people generally will obviously listen, and that's what they're coming for. But YouTube, I think, anything above 15-20 minutes, and then it becomes too long. So then I found anyway that a lot of my clips have been doing way better. And also kind of looking at some of the other channels, so I've been seeing Lou, his clips have been absolutely killing it. So
yeah, I did see that. I was like, this is smart. I was like, this is very smart. So I think it's definitely something we need to try out, because I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm fine listening to things like on background, but then if I like switch to something else, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to come back. And I'm also like, my attention span is like very, very short. So yeah, I think we need to do that. We did do like the timestamps, but then also I'm like, okay, we forgot to do that for the past couple of ones. So clips. I'll bring it up with the team. I'll be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Because I think it's a really good idea for sure.
Clips. We will be seeing clips soon on the SameBrain podcast. You heard it here first.
Breaking news. It might only happen once. It might never happen. Consistency isn't our thing. But yeah, how about you? So, do you edit the podcast? Like, what's your work?
Yeah. So I've been editing them myself right now. I'm hoping the sort of thinking was like, I just wanted to. I've been talking about doing a podcast for ages with just E, but I wanted to do something physically set up. Like I wanted to set something up in the studio and stuff. But I'm like, it's a pandemic. Before that, it's going to be at least another year before that even happens, and nobody comes to where I am, right? So I'm not even in London. I'm in Leicester. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is not the best idea. So then I kind of spoke to E, and I was just like, hey man, we talk about tech all the time. Would you like to be the co-host? And he was just like, yeah, sure. So. Yeah, I mean, it's been fun. It's been challenging because, as you're saying, it's another thing to do with everything else. But it's been fun just kind of chatting. Obviously, we had Marquez on. We've got yourself on. We can just talk about things we normally wouldn't talk about on our main channels, right? So, yeah, it's been fun.
So you must not sleep.
I don't sleep much. This is why I wear sunglasses. That's the secret. It just covers my tired eyes.
I slept like an hour last night. Like I tossed and turned, and I woke up and my eyes were just like swollen. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, well, that's fine. Yeah, and even like half the time you'll be like replying to Instagram. I'm like, isn't it like 4 a.m. where you are? I'm like, do you not sleep? Like go to bed.
Yeah. I'm pretty bad. So what I do is I'll go to sleep for a few hours, and I usually wake up for like morning prayers, and then I'll go back to sleep. But that part is like, it's not good. So then sometimes that wake up can be like 4 hours. So yeah, I'm all over the place. Definitely not the person to follow for a sleep schedule, because mine is like out the window. Completely.
Yeah, same. I mean, I got in bed at 7 p.m. the one like a couple nights ago, and I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna go to bed. I woke up at 11. I'm like p.m. 4 hours later. I go, oh no. It's like, this is about to be a bad idea. Why would I do this?
Yeah, that's going to be bad for like, that reminds me of being jet lagged, because I remember when I used to come to LA and I'd get used to the whole time zone, and then I'd come back and then there's like a 10-hour difference, because like right now it's 8 p.m. but it's like 12 where you are, so it's crazy. But yeah, that's like one thing that I don't miss about traveling.
True. It messes with you. It really does. But it would also be good because you're so tired. You're like, I can actually sleep, but it's at the wrong time of the day.
Yeah. It's all over the place. But I mean, thankfully, because we work for ourselves, we can generally get away with it. So it's all good in that sense.
A blessing and a curse. But speaking of working for yourself, how would you say this pandemic has either increased or decreased your motivation?
Definitely decreased.
Yeah, same.
I've become such a bum. Like, I went through a phase where I was just like playing Call of Duty and not doing anything else. Like literally, I would be up I'd be playing with a lot of the guys from the US. So I'd be up to like 6 a.m. and I'd be like, all right, guys, I think I should go to sleep because it's the next day and it's sunrise.
Oh my God. Yeah, because I was on the other side of the controller too. I'm like, I get it, man. I just want to play Call of Duty. And that's actually why I started streaming on Twitch. I was like, well, at least I can feel a little bit better about myself. Like, if this is kind of work, because I'm just playing Call of Duty nonstop. It was very, very dangerous to my motivation.
Are you still gaming a lot?
Not as much, just because, well, one, I tore apart my streaming setup and I'm going to be redoing everything. And then I was like, I had like the busiest 4 months of like my work life, I think, a couple months ago. So like that kind of, I was like, okay, you can't game because you're going to get stuck into that habit of not wanting to do anything but game. So I took a little bit of time off, but I'm coming back. I'm ready.
You're going to be back. Oh, yeah. I mean, what about like the pandemic? Was that similar? Like as well, did you just completely like, I don't want to do anything?
Yeah, it was hard because like all I did was travel. I mean, you were the same way. I feel like every other week you were traveling. So being home for that amount of time, I was like, I feel weird. Like every day was the same. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So yeah, I was very motivated. And then I think it's like, not like depression, but like some type of, I mean, maybe depressed. Like I had nothing to be depressed about because I was like working and I was, happy. But there was just something that was just, weighing me down. And I don't know what it was. Like creatively, like I just wasn't motivated. Yeah. And I think that's too why we took this trip recently. I'm like, I just needed to be inspired by something. Like I need to get out of this room. I need to just like clear my mind, be away from people. Because even in LA, like you walk outside, there's just people everywhere. I'm like, no, I need like nature. I need like some space and just to, because traveling is how I get my my creative, inspiration. Yeah. And it just wasn't 100%. Happening. Yeah,
for sure. And one of the things is doing what we do. Like we're super, super privileged, and we are totally aware of that as well.
Yeah.
That look, we get to do all of these things that everybody else doesn't get to do. But that kind of puts pressure on you that it's just like, okay, you can't have a bad day because you're so privileged. How dare you say anything on Twitter about the bad day that you're having when there's all this other stuff happening? And I find that pressure is so unfair because everybody's human at the end of the day, right? And yes, we're super privileged and we're super aware that we're super privileged as well. But, everybody we're human at the end of the day. We can also have bad days, you know what I mean?
For sure. And I actually felt like guilty about that too. Cause I'm like, I'm having like, I had a bad having like the most kind of successful year personally for me. but it's like, it didn't equate to happiness. Like something just felt, I wasn't really happy. And that's the thing. I was like, I feel guilty about feeling bad because like I'm fine and I'm doing well. And like I was trying to do other things. Like I was like, how do I like give back to communities and like give back to, you know, people and things. And like I was trying to find other ways just because I felt so guilty for being fine and feeling sad. I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But I mean, you know, this is something that no one's really ever experienced before. And it was all very new to us. And I don't know, everyone can, you know, handles it differently. But yes, it was weird. A very weird year.
It has been. And I think, it's okay to have a bad day, right? It's just like, yes, you know, everybody's human. You're going to have your ups and downs, you know, and it's okay to have that. And, you know, just, you know, if somebody's kind of saying something, just let them be, you know what I mean? Like, as I said, we're all human at the end of the day. So
and
take it easy.
You never know what someone else is going through too. So it's like you see what we post online. You're like, oh, you look so happy. You have all this new stuff. You have everything. But it's like you do not know what that person is going through personally. So always trying to keep that in the back of your mind. You know, we show people what we want them to see. So you never know.
I mean, that's the social media life, isn't it? Like, if we were posting depressing stuff every day, you know, people would very quickly unfollow, because I think a lot of people also go to social media for an escape as well, to a certain extent. Like, I remember when the pandemic initially kind of hit, I was still making content, and I had a few. Now, granted, it's a very small number of comments, but I did have a few comments which, you know, were like, oh, there's a pandemic going on, and you're just like talking about, you know, all this expensive tech, like, come on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, do you want me to just sit at home and do nothing? I'm creating content which my followers really enjoy, and it's giving them something to kind of like a bit of an escape, right? So it's just like, hey, we're just having a chat, we're doing something, let's not think about everything else, have a bit of an escape. And, you know, that's the thing. I mean, you know, that's what a lot of people see it as. So if we were to post sad and depressing content all the time, then, you know, people would very quickly just switch off from our content.
No, for sure. And that was the thing too. I was like, what do you guys want me to create? I was like, because I truly don't know. And they're like, honestly, we want you to do what you're doing. Like, we need an escape as well. Like, we don't want to feel like we're watching your thing to be, you know, sucked back in. Like, we see the news, we see everything that's happening. Like, you just do you. And I'm like, okay. It was very tough though for a while with like the pandemic and like politics. And I was like, oh my God, I need to get off social media before I fight someone. But so that was definitely a very, very tough time to stay out of all of that. But yeah, I feel, you know, I'm feeling better about things, I think, good. And just doing what I want. And this little trip kind of, you know, brought me back to my creative freedom. And who knows, we'll hopefully have some new tech around the corner, and, you know, I don't know.
I think it's going to, I mean, I think you took your break at the perfect time, because I think from March is when everything starts kind of picking up again. So great time, and I'm glad you took that trip as soon as I can, because we're in lockdown right now, so I can't actually take a trip. So as soon as things kind of calm down, I think I'm going to do that, just kind of get away for a little bit. But yeah, for sure. I mean, hopefully this year is going to be better. And speaking of this year, we have a lot of tech coming up this year. What are you most excited about?
I mean, I really want the 16-inch, you know, MacBook Pro M1 and 1X, whatever that is going to be. Like, I think personally for me, like that's what I want for my workflow. That's your big highlight. And how about you?
For me, that's a tough question. You've
just throwing it back at you.
Switch it back. Whoa. Wow. I'm looking forward to the Cybertruck.
Oh, wait, is it finally going to happen? What year is it?
It was supposed to be 2021, right? So I ordered the dual motor purely because that was going to be coming sooner.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I mean, I just photoshopped myself on Mars with the Cybertruck. That's how much I want it. So that's what I'm looking forward to most.
I hope so. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that because I feel like so much time has passed and I'm like, I don't know what year it is. I don't know what day it is. But yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think my sister ordered, I don't know which one she ordered. It may have been both. Pre-ordered. Yeah. It's hard to tell what she did.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, I'm just looking forward to just driving around and people being like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, that's going to be cool. I feel like there's going to be so many in LA. It's just going to be like obnoxious, but it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to see it.
Definitely looking forward to it. Next iPhone 13. What's your like wish list? What would you like to see in the next iPhone?
Well, considering mine doesn't charge right now, I'd like to have no charging issues. Look, I like having the ports. I really do like it. I don't know why. It's just like having that like comfort thing. So I'm okay if they leave the port. Next iPhone. What do I want?
What's missing on your iPhone right now? Touch ID, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Touch ID would be nice. Because I feel like I'm probably going to be wearing a mask for unforeseeable future. I do miss Touch ID. I like it. And I just like having that option, like, the Samsungs. It's cool.
It's easy.
I feel like you have just asked me an impossible question. Like
Turned it right back at you after.
I think my phone feels a little heavy. It feels kind of heavy and like boxy.
You didn't consider the 12 Pro?
I also have that. Sometimes I switch. If I'm gonna like go for a walk, I'm like, I feel like I should take this one that's smaller. I honestly thought I was gonna use the 12 Pro, but then it's just I've always had the bigger phone, so I was like, this is gonna be it. I really don't know what I would want from it. That's a good question. Okay, I'm simple.
You can never think about that. You can never think about that. I'd like to see a high refresh rate display, personally.
Yeah, that would be nice. It is so nice in other devices.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know what I really hope? I hope that we'll be in a place where we can go back to Cupertino for the iPhone launch event, because that was amazing.
So fun. Like, it's just so nice seeing everyone, and it's just like going up to the campus is so cool. That would be very nice. I can't imagine what's going to happen, though.
We can hang out with Steve Wozniak.
Again, I mean, obviously. He definitely has been wondering what we're up to, He's man, I can't wait for them to come back up and harass me. No.
Best friends.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, best
BFFs.
friends. Forever and ever. We're going to get bracelets.
Yeah, definitely. When we see him next time, we're like, hey, Steve, here you go. We've missed you this time. He'll be like thinking, who are these guys?
He runs away. We just got uninvited from all future events.
I'll cut this bit out so then Apple doesn't see it and doesn't carries on inviting us to their events.
Please invite us. We are just kidding.
I'm going to give you another hard question.
No.
Before we move on to something a little bit fun to end with, right? Top 3 YouTubers right now who you watch the most.
Okay, have you heard of SuperSaf TV?
I think I might have. He seems super cool.
Okay, so I don't want to admit this, but I'm really bad at watching YouTube videos. Like very, very bad. So sorry. I usually only watch videos from like people who I follow on Twitter, like tweet them out, because I feel like subscriptions don't really work half the time. I mean, I obviously watch my sister. I watch you. I watch Marquez. I watch Farouk iPhondo. He is like my inspiration. He is so talented. I don't understand. I'm like, you are so talented. Like his beauty shots are just so inspirational, and they're so cool. Yeah,
so I remember I came across one of his drone videos some time ago, and I was like, wow, okay, this guy's really good. So I subscribed to him then. I never actually met him, so hopefully when I'm back in LA next time, then we'll have to all catch up.
Yes, he's so cool. Oh, he's so nice too. I also watched a lot of Sarah Dici. Basically, like if somebody tweets out a video, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. I'm just really bad at actually actively going and like looking at subscriptions.
Do you ever watch like non-tech, like completely something different on YouTube?
Non-tech. I mean, sometimes I'm like I said, I'm very bad at watching YouTube videos. Like really, really bad. I'm like the worst, because I feel like if I ever have free time, I'm like, I'm just gonna turn on Netflix for like a second. I watch Cody Blue. He does a lot of like travel stuff. He and his now wife, they do a bunch of cool stuff. They actually live in Tahoe, and they're just like, he's very, very talented and creative, and his channel is like really always cool and like beautifully shot. So I do miss actually. I need to start watching the travel content again. I just feel like it kind of went downhill with everything that happened. But yeah.
I feel really super talented. Bad for travel content creators, because it's just like, okay, so now you can't travel. Like, what do you do? And if you do travel, then people are going to be like, oh, why are you traveling in a pandemic, sort of thing. It's just like, ooh, that's such a bad dilemma to be in. I feel really bad for them.
Yeah, I know. It's tough, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get on a plane personally. That's why we were like driving and staying like far away from everyone. And people weren't really saying much, but I was like, you guys don't understand, like where we went, I would walk outside and I would see no one. If I walk outside in Los Angeles right now, I'm going to see hundreds of people instantly. So I'm like, where we were going, like these counties had maybe a couple hundred cases, whereas like Los Angeles, it's like hundreds of thousands of cases. And I'm like, I'm just going to get away. Like I need fresh air. Like I don't want to be around people. Like I'm not doing anything. So yeah, it's definitely been interesting. And I've realized that like maybe I don't want to live in LA. Like where do I want to live? I want to live on like a ranch in the middle of nowhere with fast internet.
Okay.
That's the dream.
Okay, so if you could move anywhere in the world, where would it be?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I really love Hawaii, but it's really tough with dogs. So you have to like quarantine them for quite some time and you can't really go back and forth. I don't know. I really like Utah. Oregon was very pretty. Like I love California, but it's just too much. And taxes are very high here. So I don't know. I'm really trying to figure that out right now. I would go to New Zealand, but it's very far away.
New Zealand, yeah. I mean, it is very far, but I mean, they pretty much have 0 cases.
Yeah, they have their stuff figured out.
That can be the new YouTuber destination. It's just like let's all move. You know how like right now it's like New York and LA are the two sort of YouTuber hubs, should we say?
Yeah.
Or content creator hubs. Like let's make New Zealand that. Let's start a new trend.
I'm fine. Like let's go. We're going to New Zealand. They have their things figured out. It's beautiful. It's nice. We're coming to New Zealand.
Yeah. Okay, so New Zealand, watch out. We're going to be coming over. Well, don't worry. We'll get tested before we come. We'll get vaccinated before we come. So don't worry. 100%. We're not bringing anything unexpected.
Whatever you need me to do, I'm ready.
We will do it. Okay, now we're going to finish off with some fun, unrelated questions. This is a thing that I do with all my guests.
Oh, no.
And it might be a little bit awkward.
Okay,
but
I love that.
Let me ask you, have you Googled yourself recently? She almost spat a drink.
I almost choked on my coffee. Like how recently? Like past 6 months?
Yeah. Have you?
I don't actually. I think I typed in my name to Google once just to shortcut to my YouTube channel, which I don't think was at all a shortcut. And I like briefly saw a couple things. Have you Googled me recently?
I have. You'll be pleased.
Oh no.
So okay. So in this section of the video, right, I'm gonna bring you the top 5 search results for your name. Okay. Now, a few disclaimers here. Firstly, these are not coming from me. These questions are from the world. This is what the world wants to know about Jenna Ezarik.
All right, here we go.
And obviously, if you're comfortable answering them, brilliant. If you're not, no pressure whatsoever. Just give us your reaction of why you think people are searching for this, or just whatever you think, right? Whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you this first. What do you think is your top search?
I'm going to assume boyfriend, because it's always boyfriend.
It's one of the top. Well, okay, this is gonna be quite surprising because it's not. Boyfriend is not in the top 5.
No way! Have people given up on me?
People have changed, but there's something else which is kind of related. We'll come to that. So the first,
oh no,
the first search related search result for Jenna Ezarik is net worth.
Oh, true. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That was the same for. I think it's pretty much the same for all of us. Right? Anybody that's a content creator, people really want to know how much we're worth. So yeah, that's the first one.
Okay. I mean, I don't even know.
That's what I mean. It was like I don't even know. There's some guesses people have. It's funny because I when I was doing this exercise and I kind of searched for Marquez and search for yourself, and then I put my name in, and then I found this whole biography of me, how much my net worth is, my background, details about my parents, which were completely false. Pulled that from nowhere. My sort of like where my family's from, all of this stuff, and I'm like, this stuff is not true at all. People just make this stuff up and post it on the internet. It's crazy.
I know. It's so silly. I mean, I honestly don't even know. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, as long as I'm able to pay my bills, got some, whatever. Who knows? Exactly. Yeah, so that's always funny seeing those estimates. You're like,
yeah, it's just.
I saw someone, it was like worth like 500 million. Someone's like, what? Where did you think I'm worth this much money from? And if so, like, who has my money? Like, I'm ready to accept it.
Get me that money. All right. Second search result for Jenna Ezarik is age. Yeah. People want to know how old you are.
That's disgusting. I'm 31, I think. Okay. Wait. Yeah, I'm 31. Oh my God.
It's like, 31.
Wait. Yeah, no, I'm 31. It's funny because I feel like once you like hit 30, like I still think I'm like 29, but then I'm like, no. So yeah, I'm 31.
Yeah, I mean, you're only 6 years older than me, so it's not
True.
much.
It's very true. I think I feel like I've aged 20 years in the past year, so.
I think everybody has. Hopefully we'll be able to reset those years soon. Okay, third search result. Okay, so people have forgotten about boyfriend. Boyfriend's gone way down the list.
Great,
but
good.
Jenna Ezarik, husband, is number 3.
Oh, husband! Oh, that's right, I'm old now. Oh no.
So after 30, it's just like, okay, she's probably settled down now. So yeah, let's look for a husband.
Thankfully, I'm not married. It's funny because it's like marriage has never been something where I'm like, I want to get married. I'm like, no, like I'm chilling. Like I've never really wanted kids. Like I've had serious relationships, but I don't wear jewelry. I don't want a big flashy wedding. I'm like, dude, I just want to be happy and like live my life. And marriage has never been something where I'm like, I need to get married. I want to get married. Like that is the opposite of what I want from life. Yeah. So no, I'm not married. I do not have a husband.
Okay, so for those people who are wondering if Jenna's kind of secretly gone to Hawaii and got married, she has not. So yeah,
nope.
We'll let you know that. Okay, 2 more we've got. I mean, these ones are pretty simple. Jenna Ezarik Twitter. So people want to find you on Twitter, but they use Google to do that.
Well, you love to see it. Well, you never know. Sometimes it could be a different name.
Potentially, it could be I am Jenna E. Oh. Sorry, it's me, Jenna E.
We can't talk about that. It's actually funny how many times I'll type in someone's name and type in Twitter, and then it just takes you there. So like I do that too.
Yeah, I mean that's lots of people are using that. Jenna Ezarik wallpapers.
Oh, my wallpapers!
They're in demand. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the 5th result here, so clearly this is above Boyfriend 2020. So
they've given up on me. Like she's gonna die alone. The wallpapers. I forgot about that too. I neglected it for quite some time, but I actually posted one from our trip, and I think I have a couple more to post, and that's been fun. Awesome. It's been like a fun little thing that when I was getting into photography. I'm like, oh, I'll do some wallpapers. So that's good.
Clearly, there's demand for them, and that's something I need to set up as well. I still need to pick your brains on that too, to set my wallpaper library up because I've just got I just put up my wallpaper of me kind of hanging off the punch hole of the S21 Ultra like a monkey, and it's like I put it up and then like 10,000 downloads. I'm like, okay, so there's potential here. People are actually downloading this and putting it on for some reason.
If you would have charged $1 for all of those, although sometimes I think Shopify takes like 30 cents or something if they use a credit card. But yeah, I mean, hey. Come on, you got a business mind. Let's go. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah. I mean, he keeps telling me, you got to monetize this, dude. I'm like, yeah, but I just find it weird that people have got me swinging on their homepages for some reason. But anyway,
because it's incredible. It's so things. Cool. I love it.
Great.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, so you should do it.
I'm gonna ask you 3 random questions because we're towards the end now, and I like doing this. Just kind of just random questions, which I don't think you would have been asked before. So yeah.
Oh no.
Do you ever check your Instagram DMs?
So Instagram has made it so silly. So it's like you have like the primary and like the general and then like
the
something
requests.
else. The requests.
So do you ever check the requests?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Weird.
So
weird.
Can you like have you got a random one, like a really funny one that you remember, or if you can, this is going to be a challenge. Can you open your phone up right now and read? We're not going to name and shame, but check your DM requests and read 3 of them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, some of these are pretty normal so far. And then I get some where I'm like, do I have to alert the authorities? Like, this is strange. Okay, let's just click. This one says, you still good? Just checking in.
Okay.
That was a long time ago. I think I'm still good. Oh my gosh, there's some I just feel like I could
If there's something that you can bleep out but just read.
Okay. Let me take off the Wi-Fi because it's let me filter these by unread. Happy birthday. Oh my gosh. No, that's not a good one. That's not a good one. A lot of these people are actually just being very nice.
That's good.
This one says they'd like me to make a video about the iPad Pro. There's definitely some that are like, do you want to go on a date? And I'm like, No, I don't. Sorry.
This isn't Tinder. It's Instagram.
This one says to play. Oh, it says playing Battleship with my son. I thought it said, can you play Battleship with my son? So it's very, very interesting. There's definitely some accounts where, okay, this one says, which one has a better camera? I get a lot of questions where it's like, which is a better phone? Which is a better computer or camera? Or can you send me an iPhone? I'm like, no.
Okay,
you get it.
That's most of mine. Most of my Instagram DMs are, can you send me an iPhone? Sometimes there's a list. Can you send me an iPhone, space gray, 512 gigabytes, an iPad, this, that. It's like a full shopping list. And it's like, okay. So I generally don't look at them, but sometimes they'll just be like, kind of like browse through. But yours were pretty good. I mean, I was surprised.
Well,
I was expecting some weird stuff.
I mean, honestly, those were good, but I get a lot of very, very terrifying things where I'm like, this person might actually kill me. Like, this is very strange. Or I get some where it has like the blurred image. It's like, oh, click at your own risk. I'm like, nope, absolutely not. So these were very calm. Everyone seems calm, but no, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in there, which is why I don't go there often.
Thankfully, the recent ones have been pretty good. So that's good.
They're calm. They're good.
On the topic of fans and followers, what's been your most awkward fan interaction?
I can't. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just thought of something and I can't really tell you. I'm going to have to tell you the story off podcast. Off camera. Because it just happened. Most awkward. Most awkward.
Is anything PG that you can share with us?
I mean, it's I feel like for legal reasons I can't.
Okay.
Anything PG. I mean, there's just been a lot of awkward things where it's like, I mean, this was actually the most recent. Like, I was just in a random gas station in the middle of nowhere. And so in Oregon, you don't pump your own gas. So like, I pull up after driving for a long time and I like get out and this guy goes, Jenna? And I go, I was like, hi. He's like, I watch your videos. I'm like, not even kidding you. We were in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, it wasn't awkward. I'm having a very hard time thinking of an awkward one after I have the best awkward story that I haven't told yet. But I just feel like it's always kind of awkward because I never know if like I know these people from like real life or I'm like, oh wait, have I met you before? And then like, oh no, I met you on the internet. I'm like, oh cool. Like, it's nice to meet you. But yeah, I'll tell the story one day, but I can't yet.
All right, you can tell me after we end the podcast. Yeah. But Jenna, thank you so much for jumping on and taking the time out. It's been so much fun chatting. So I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. And I'm very honored to be on this, and I'm very proud of you for your new podcast endeavor. And thank you for the clips suggestion. It's very smart.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, and hopefully this year sometime we'll be able to properly catch up.
I hope so. It's been way too long.
Yeah, it definitely has. Take care, and we'll speak soon.
Sounds good. See ya.
Big thanks to Jenna for taking the time out to be on the podcast. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you're not already, then do go ahead and follow her on all of the different social media platforms. They will be linked in the show notes and in the description below if you're on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the podcast and found it useful. If you did, then please do drop a rating or give it a thumbs up. And also let me know who you'd like to see in future episodes. Thanks for watching and listening. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks, and I'll see you next time.